editor. And in this session, we're going to discuss everything you need to know about NFTs, or at least as much important stuff as we can fit into 30 minutes. Now, 2021 has been a wild ride for NFTs and the discussion around it. So let's just briefly recap a little bit. In January this year, NFTs were fairly unknown outside of crypto art circles, but by February, it was all anybody could talk about. And Grimes, Blau, and Kings of Leon sold NFTs of digital images for the crypto equivalent of millions of dollars. Then by May, the hype had evaporated again a little bit, and articles were being written about how the NFT market was a bubble, how it had crashed, and wanted to know what was going to happen next. Well, we've invited an expert. This is Grant here, and I'll introduce you properly in a moment to explore this. The truth in all of that, as ever, is somewhere in the middle. So in this session, we want to catch up on where NFTs are now, because things have moved so quickly, with a focus as well on China and how it could relate and NFT technology could work in that market. So where are we now with NFTs? How do they relate to China? And what are the opportunities in that country and globally? What does the future hold? And what roles do artists, platforms, and fans have to play in this exciting new economy? Well, we're joined, as I said, by Grant Dexter, co-founder and CEO of Fanaply, an NFT platform where fans could collect NFTs in the form of sort of digital trading cards for artists, as well as sports teams, comedians, and so on. Grant, thanks ever so much for joining us. Very grateful as always.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
And well, let's just set a bit of context here. Perhaps you can explain a bit better than I did what Fanaply does and what has happened over the last 6 months, and give us a bit of history of the company itself.
Yeah, great introduction. Things, I felt like the crazy person in the room. We got our start in 2019, and I've been, talking about and working with partners to use NFTs for, this will be our third year now. And, we got our start actually with Coachella back in 2019, where we issued what we were calling back then digital collectibles, which are NFTs, in exchange for time and behavior. So, if you did environmental challenges at Coachella, you could earn an NFT. That program was shockingly successful, I think, for everybody, the stakeholders and us. 60,000 people participated, and it was a real aha moment for us. We rolled into 2020, and you're right, NFTs were still an unknown quantity, and we had to convince people that, Gen Xers and younger leaning millennials were spending, everyone knew they were spending 80-90% of their time online, and that's how they're interacting with your brand. I think what people didn't understand is they wanted digital products, and they understood digital products. So we spent 2020 working with everyone from Ticketmaster to Niall Horan, One Direction, to 5 Seconds of Summer, to bands all the way in between, Olivia Rodrigo, allowing fans to earn NFTs in exchange for proof of flex or proof of behavior. So was I one of the first 1,000 people in at this virtual show? Was I one of the first 100 people to listen to this new single? And those were incredible programs. I think we did something like 30 or 40,000 with Niall Horan. I think we went through 15 to 20,000 of them with 5 Seconds of Summer. And it was a real proof of concept. Rolling into 2021, the world flipped on its head. I think early on, we just noticed some rumblings late in December and early January, and by February and March, those same stakeholders that were reluctant but okay to work with us, and there was some amazing people that were just driving forward with us and taking chances, which is why I think we issued over 200,000 NFTs in 2020. But that paradigm shifted, and people were like, we want to sell them now. And I was shocked at the speed in which the market took off. It felt raw. Like I started an internet business in '99 that Universal invested in and did very well. I started an app ticketing company in 2009. It was like right when apps were starting, and I sold that, and it went very well. This just felt inorganic. It felt like it was on jet fuel, and there was just something that didn't make sense to me. And I think it turns out that it was a speculator-driven market in February and March by a very few by a very small number of crypto players. I really like what you said, though. Being a journalist, you're always looking at the big picture. I think the truth, lies somewhere in between that hype and the slowing down of the business. And I think that what we've seen is, we create NFTs. They were originally digital trading cards because we had to explain them to people. It was so confusing that we're like, okay, just think of a baseball card, but it's for musicians. Now we're doing 3D effects, and we're doing audio visual, and we're doing, fixed paintings or pictures. And we're focused on the music business. We've worked with over 100 artists, both on paid NFT drops and free and earn campaigns. But we've also branched out. We did a world first with IMX and with an artist named SZA. We've done NHL hockey over in North America is very popular. We did the first NHL team, and we did the first mixed martial arts with the Professional Fighting League. And those campaigns have all done very well. I think there's a growing group of fans that are excited about digital products, both in terms of collecting moments and memories, but also proof and flex mechanics. Like, I was there, or I'm here and I have this and you don't, or I'm a bigger fan of you. And I think those all will tie into the future of NFTs.
Yeah, great. That's a really good précis of everything that's been happening. And let's just return for a second to that idea about, yes, that explosion at the beginning felt artificial, and it did feel speculative. And I'm interested where that will go in terms of you're explaining NFTs in the terms of fandom, being able to say, hey, I'm a huge fan and I can demonstrate it because I have this exclusive NFT because I was there at this particular show. In the broader sense, then we've got digital items which, on one hand, show fandom, and on the other hand, it is a value-driven market. When we had an explosion of social networks, decade, 15 years ago, people were saying, you come for the content, you stay for the network. And with NFTs, what is it? You come for the content, but you stay for the economy, or do you stay for the fandom, or do you stay for the trading? Like, what is that in a mass market sense?
Yeah, that's a great, excellent question. I think you come for the NFT, and I think you stay for two or three things. Community is for sure one. Being amongst a group of people that share the same passion about you, and seeing things that they've collected versus things that you've collected is a really interesting. And we've been on this from the beginning, just because of our experience. We were built right into the Coachella app. So we saw people earning different NFTs, like an environmental NFT, a stage hopper, a foodie badge, the official Coachella NFT digital collectible. And fans were showing these off to each other, and they were swiping their phones against each other to exchange NFTs. And it was really community-based driven. So I think NFTs have more value when people around you share the same passion as you and can see things that you've collected and try to collect them. So that's for sure. Second is for the flex, like the ability, like we've built Instagram and AR filters into our NFTs so that fans can share them inside of their social networks and be like, I own this NFT. That is massive. And it's the ability to show off people in your other peer groups, things that you've collected or things that you're passionate about. And I think the third thing is trading. I think other companies have that inverted. I think other companies are like, you're here for the NFT and then you're here to trade it because it's just an asset. We don't want to be in that game. I think there'll be some excitement in that game, or there'll be a road for people to go down that road. We just think it's about fandom, community, flexing and sharing, and trading in the sense of you want to collect more things. So, you can't collect, I was at this show December 23rd, but you could collect hey, this is my 2021 NFT, and first come, first serve. Those are things that fans could buy on the secondary market. And I think they're badges of fandom. I think they're proof of fandom. And I think the trading is important because it allows you to collect things that you might have missed. But I think it's just part of the overall process.
Great. Well, chat for a little bit about the opportunity in China with NFTs, and then we'll return to sort of some of the bigger picture future stuff in a minute. Now, China is of course, like it is with the music business, a fascinating, huge, exciting market, and it's a sort of a curious one for NFTs as well. It seems ideal in some ways and also a little bit difficult. Now, on one hand, we have this huge technology savvy audience with fans who are obsessive about their favorite stars, ideal for what you've just described. And on the other hand, we have a sort of a technology environment that might be a little bit difficult for things that are attached to, let's say, the blockchain or cryptocurrency for various reasons. And that said, but that said, NFTs have started to take off in a way in China, albeit in a different way. For instance, in April, the Singaporean Chinese singer Chen Huanren, I hope I've pronounced that almost correctly, issued the first NFT music piece. It was a music NFT in the Greater China area. And recently, Beijing hosted one of the first major NFT exhibitions of visual art in the world. And it was visited by over 10,000 people. So in the sense of, you've talked about fandom, and we all know how China music fans love music and are really, really into the fandom element. What is your feeling about the opportunity for NFTs there, and how could that work?
Yeah, I really liked what you said there. Like, I think it, if you look at the Gen Xers and millennials in China, they are very tech capable. They're very mobile capable. Like in North America, our penetration rates on mobile adoption were always behind China because we had landlines and we had televisions with fiber cable coming in and satellite. And some of those things weren't available early on in China. And fortunately, they're all so tech savvy with QR codes and AR scanning and interacting with their phones. So it's a perfect fit, and their passion around music and art and culture is incredible. So it's a perfect fit in many ways. I think the challenge for China, and quite honestly, any company that has an ecosystem that already exists, is how does the decentralized nature of NFTs fit into the existing system? And that's a challenge for, let's say you own a ticketing company and you want to move some of your tickets to the blockchain because you think it's exciting, they can sell them, fans can resell them to one another. The challenge with that ticketing company is that once they're inside of people's individual wallets, they can go anywhere. They could go to a site, they could just exchange it with someone for future considerations, or NFTs are, just so everyone knows, they are the first kind of products that's true digital ownership. There is no central database that is saying, hey, you own this and it's worth this amount. It's a whole bunch of networked computers around the world that are all storing little bits of information that then approve or disapprove of transactions and your ownership. So I think that the challenge will be for artists in China is to create NFTs that can exist inside the ecosystem there, and that allow fans to celebrate their releases and their tours and their accomplishments. And I think the way you do that is by assigning loyalty or value to the NFTs outside of that blockchain ecosystem. So by saying, hey, if you own these collection of NFTs, you get a chance to go backstage at a show, or I'm going to do a free concert for everyone that owns 10 of my NFTs. Then you're tying real world value to the NFT. And that means that fans won't want to take it out of some approved systems that can check to say, hey, that NFT is real, and it scans and gets you into the show. So you're actually connecting a decentralized network into a centralized ticketing database, or a centralized VIP upgrade database, or a centralized Zoom call. I think that's the way you can work around it. And I would say that China isn't unique. I would say North American companies are in the same challenge, in that, they have pretty great systems right now, right? Like Facebook is a closed system. All the information is stored on one database. If fans could take their profiles and migrate anywhere to any other social media site, that would be a problem for Facebook, because they wouldn't have the transaction value, the information, and the people on the site. So I think there's going to have to be some really intelligent ways of tying decentralization back into sort of centralized rewards or loyalty programs. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that reinforces your idea, essentially, that NFTs are not about speculation and huge rapid gains, these freak occurrences that we've seen, and they're about something else, and that thing is expression of identity and fandom. And China is a market that, well, for instance, where fandom really, really happens at a rapid pace. And you can see that with the way that the NFTs are working with Fanaply. They're priced essentially at accessible points. They're not wildly priced. They're priced at fan pricing, and they're ranging from free to maybe a few $100s for the real big ticket stuff. And China is, like you said, similar in the way that in the way that is fitting in. And fandom in China, though, is also, from what we've seen, is perhaps a bit more interactive. Even if you look, for instance, at one of the streaming platforms, Bilibili, and people are watching videos there, and as you're watching them, the screen is bombarded with comments scrolling across the screen as it's being watched. So there's a real sort of fan layer built in there. So do you think that NFTs, well, first of all, do you think that it will fit in with that culture? And secondly, do you think that actually it might fit in really well with that culture?
Yeah, I really do. I really do. I think because of early mobile adoption, I think they've been able to develop social and interactive programs that are ahead of many other countries. And I love that, with the video playing and fans commenting, and NFTs fit perfectly into that, because if you owned a certain grouping of NFTs, you could get access to icons inside of that system that no one else could get. So you're taking this decentralized behavior, and you have fans earning and buying NFTs that are rewarding them inside of centralized platforms. And what a way to flex. Like, if you have an icon beside you when you're making comments, and people are like, where the hell did you get that icon? I haven't seen it here before. And it's like, well, I've been to 5 shows and I bought their yearly NFT, and I was one of the first people to hear their new single. That is a terrific way of, first of all, tying a decentralized asset into an exciting centralized site where fans are going, but also a great example of why it would work in China before it might work in other markets, because you have fans doing this kind of behavior, and NFTs are perfect for that. Like, I was in a waiting room for a very large band, and I know the manager, and there was 10,000 people in that YouTube waiting room 24 hours before their video dropped. Yeah. And they found me out, like they dadded me out. They were like, "You're a dad. What are you here? Are you a narc? Like, why are you in here?" Like, they were insulting me after about 20 minutes, but then they calmed down, and I was like their pet dad or something. But they just spent like the couple hours that I was there basically bragging about who was a bigger fan, what shows they'd been to, what merch they had. And I just kept thinking, what a perfect environment for NFTs to be like. You wouldn't even need to say anything. You'd just be like, oh, inside of here, I have these icons because I've earned them. So yeah, I think it's that's a great example of what you could do in a market like China. And then just the massive scale, is incredible. And NFTs are built for scale. when we build a smart contract, that's another great, like there's no cost of goods or no cost of production. So when we build an NFT contract, it's $50, whether we build a contract that contains 10 NFTs or 10 million NFTs. It's still $50. So what an incredible product for a really scalable market when you can bang out 1 million NFTs for $50, and maybe they're earned to start, or maybe they're a couple of dollars. But as they become scarce and the band grows and the popularity, and people look back on that NFT and are like, oh, that was a really cool either experience, or that was a cool looking NFT, they could have secondary market value. And every time there's a transaction on a secondary market, there's a piece that goes back to the rights holder. What an exciting sort of piece of like a mobile technology engaged audience that's interacting in communities online, that has massive scale, and wow, huge opportunity.
Yeah. Now, one other thing, of course, the other thing is that China, there's ubiquitous use of QR codes and paying with mobile payment and things like that. So the idea of owning a virtual item seems a lot closer to the habits of the people already. China also has a really huge live music market, enormous festivals. Companies that run festivals there are running, dozens of festivals, each of which has tens of thousands of people attending. The scale is incredible. And NFTs, you touched on this earlier with your work with Coachella, have a huge opportunity there. Could you perhaps explain what the future might hold there? You said you were sort of rewarding people for experiential things. You've gone to this stage, you've recycled this, you've done this, you've collected that. But what, as we move forward in the festival space, what kind of ways could NFTs be used to enhance the visitor experience? What maybe before, during, and after the festival?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, that live music scene over there is huge. And I have a friend, Sebastian Mayer, who's lived and worked he left Canada and has lived and worked in Asia. And he kept telling me, probably 5-6 years ago, pre-pandemic, about the incredible festival scene in China. And yeah, super exciting. I think NFTs you can think of as a new way I think of it as a new asset class. So it's another merch table. One way to think about it is another merch table. It's just digital merch. And then you can think of them as engagement and reward mechanisms. And then I think you can think about them as sponsor-driven reward mechanisms. So, I mentioned we work with IMX. We've also worked with a whole bunch of other partners on the NASCAR side. So, you could imagine that you have in United States and California, you have a beach cleanup day before the festival, and everyone that comes and cleanups the beach can earn an NFT for doing so. That will be part of a collection of a set that will give you perks once you collect them. At a venue in China, you could have, hey, the first 100 people at this show can earn an NFT because you want folks to get there early and be on time. And again, that's part of a collection set. We did something with Trevor Noah, who launched his North American tour. And if you bought it during a specific pre-sale period, a 4-hour period, if you bought during that period, you could earn an NFT. And over 3,000 fans claimed those NFTs, and incredible for a tour. And that's a demographic that's not millennial or Gen X. That's an older demographic. And we drove thousands of people to that pre-sale because they wanted to earn the NFT. What he's thinking about doing, or let's say other folks like him could do, is that at the show, you could give all those pre-sale folks an automatic upgrade, and you could do a drop during the show of another NFT and say, hey, there's only 30 of these. I know there's 1,000 of you here, but we're doing a drop for a specific NFT for this show. Festivals can obviously do that too. And then, sponsors, incredibly powerful, right? Like inside of your festival, your sponsors could power NFTs. The headliner could do a drop, an NFT drop, and it could be powered by your main sponsor. You could have a food sponsor or a vendor sponsor where you could earn an NFT inside of a festival. And after, when you leave, it could give you discounts for the rest of the year. That's a really powerful thing about these, is that fans actually own them. They're on their phone. We've actually built in integration with Google and Apple Wallet so that you could assign a barcode to it, and you could say, hey, you know, you earned these collection of NFT or the specific sponsor driven NFT, you get 50% off the rest of the year with our product. Now, the interesting thing for the vendors is that, you know, having 1,000 people with 50% off is a huge margin cut, but fans can also trade those. So someone may say to that fan, I love this place. I know you were at the festival, but I eat here like twice a week. I'll pay you $1,000 for that, even though you earned it free. And the vendor would get a piece of that revenue and a couple of customers. So I love what you said. I always talk about before, during, and after festivals or shows, and I think NFTs can be part of all of those. The final point is, you know, even environmentally, like you know, Coachella is so forward thinking and so thoughtful. You know, they had folks doing, before COVID hit so hard, they had folks doing environmental actions before the show to earn something. They had a whole bunch to do inside to earn another NFT, and they had something planned for after the festival, and that would come with some rewards for the following year and some vendor rewards. But what an incredible use of technology and a great company that's like, we're going to use this for good. So people were riding seesaws. They were collecting like 60, 40, 60, and 100 bottles. But yeah, really exciting stuff that you can do.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how people, NFTs are sort of difficult to conceptualize in terms of what they actually mean to your life. And it'll be interesting to see how, when the live industries come back again, and you know, if Trevor Noah, for instance, mentioned it on stage about how that people were getting a reward because of it, the incentive is suddenly more real. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Well, we're running.
Just quickly, and
yes, go on.
I know we're running out of time. And just quickly too, like there's things that we haven't even thought of, like Bob Moss, who runs Techstars, which we were fortunate enough to be part of in 2020. He's always been like, I want to like last to leave the show NFT, and like, wouldn't that like that sort of crazy idea of you were the last person to leave Coachella, or you're the last person to leave this venue on that night, and all these kind of ideas. I think that fans are going to help drive and create partnership with artists and venues and festivals, just sort of patches or monikers of like, this is who I am. Like I am in Canada, the Toronto Blue Jays won the World Series in 1993, and I was very young and quite drunk, and I was determined to be the last one at Skydome. And we stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed, and security guards, we ended up like, they were very nice, and they let us be the last people to leave the stadium after they'd won the World Series. And interesting. That's a badge I would carry with honor even into my 40s.
For sure. It makes those good stories you hear in a bar provable.
Yeah.
Which is
which
has value in itself, doesn't it? It has social currency as well as sort of credit to yourself as well, and an actual currency. Well, then really briefly then, Grant, we're running out of time. We're starting to see this. We've mentioned it a few times now, this sort of division between centralization and decentralization, and how that's being resolved. We're seeing the difference between something that is purely sort of conceptual as an idea into sort of it creeping into the real world. Let's look forward over the next, let's say, I know things move so fast with NFTs, 3 to 5 years. In 30 seconds, what is your prediction, and what's going to be the interesting thing that's going to happen?
Yeah, I think NFTs are a new digital asset class that, you know, gamers and people that have been online truly understand. Rare items, platinum items, super rare, common. So I think these are going to continue to grow. I think they're going to be part merch table items, part proof of fandom items, and part rarity items as well. I think speculation was driven because crypto is based on speculation, and they were early adopters. But, you know, most fans are going to want to keep their NFTs because they're going to be powerful memories. And really things just, you know, we were talking earlier about your vinyl collection, you know, those are about the music, but they're also a lot about the memories and about who you are and what joy you've had in your life in the past and now, and how that interconnects. And I think NFTs are a digital product that can do that. I think they're going to integrate into many different systems. So I think you're going to be able to earn or buy NFTs on a bunch of different platforms. And I think they're going to be check boxes inside of other ecosystems. Like inside of Facebook, you might get access to icons that you don't have because you own an NFT. So I think they're going to be ubiquitous across closed and open ecosystems. And I think just as we spend more and more time online, I think their use cases are going to grow. And I think how they look and how you interact with them is going to change as well. And I think we're just at the very beginning of that. And that could include 3D objects. That could include NFTs that change over time, depending on your behavior. Like you've been to 50 shows, it changes into a super rare 50 show NFT. Lots of really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's really exciting for fandom. Looking forward to seeing what happens. Well, that's it for this session. Big thanks to you, Grant, for joining us from Fanaply, for taking part in answering these questions. Of course, you know, people can go and how can people get in touch with you if they want to sort of collaborate perhaps with Fanaply on something interesting?
Yeah, for sure. I'm at grant@fanaply.com. I have a bit of a history with China. I'm a huge fan of it, and I just love the people and the culture and their passion. Or go to www.fanaply.com and hit up info. You know, most of the NHL first, the IMX first, some of the music first. You know, those have all been just at our info account. We haven't even had a sales crew. We don't have we just business development. So super excited always to hear from folks, and just thank you to Music Ally. I have learned so much from your site and your podcasts, and it's such a great way to stay informed, including your newsletter that comes out. And Joe, you're just exceptional journalist and contributor. So thanks so much.
Pleasure. Well, it's been we're all happy that we've been able to do this. So thanks very much, Grant, as always. And from me, Joe Sparrow. See you all soon. Thanks, Grant. That was really, really great. Very, very great.
Yeah.